Have you ever looked at your life and felt an undeniable fracture? A persistent sensation that something inside is shattered, mismatched, or simply unwhole? We are conditioned to view this feeling as a defect. Society defines brokenness as a failure to perform, a component that no longer meets the standard expectations of uniformity or function. Internalizing that label carries a heavy consequence. It leaves a lingering sense of being permanently damaged, waiting for a healing that never quite arrives. We often judge our internal lives against a blueprint of mechanical perfection. When we can't find a whole version of ourselves within that design, we tend to assume that defect lies in our own hardware rather than the blueprint itself. When we feel that pain, our immediate reaction is to troubleshoot. We run a relentless internal diagnostic loop, asking the same questions over and over. Was it me? Was it you? Was it always this way? We comb through our personal archives, trying to isolate the exact moment the damage occurred. We do this to stitch together a clean story of cause and effect, hoping a clear reason will soothe the random ache of life. But this diagnostic process assumes human beings are supposed to operate as simple, sealed containers, and that we are only valid if nothing ever leaks out or gets in. This drive to fix ourselves often stems from external pressure to conform. A label often depends on the observer's need for predictability, not the object's actual state. You see this bias in nature. An engineer looks at a wild, winding river and considers it a system needing control. In this context, broken is the term one pattern uses to describe another pattern when it can no longer predict or absorb its behavior. This internal friction arises when society fails to absorb divergence. We mistake our own nonconformity for a failure of the hardware. We have to apply a strict ethical filter here, because true trauma shouldn't be romanticized. There are real ruptures that cause profound harm and sever a person's capacity to live. When a fracture simply refuses a standard shape or a specific tempo, it functions as a marker of difference. It exists outside the category of damage. We can view these differences through the lens of system reconfiguration. Instead of seeing cracks as failures of containment, we can see them as necessary architectural adjustments. A crack marks the exact location where the inside and the outside agree to touch. This transforms a vessel's weak seams into vital environmental sensors, capable of reading the world in new ways. By refusing the vocabulary of damage, we stop seeing ourselves as failed, static objects. We start recognizing ourselves as porous, active architectures that are capable of processing entirely new kinds of light. There is a concept in computer science that mirrors this process. It is called graceful degradation. Graceful degradation is a system's intentional ability to maintain its core identity and function, even when it loses its standard components. We can map this engineering concept to the human experience through kintsugi, the Japanese art of repairing broken pottery by filling the cracks with gold instead of trying to hide them. The gold serves as an aesthetic record of survival.
It leaves the history of the impact visible while reinforcing the new structure. Applying that gold is a sovereign decision. It is an individual declaring that they are still allowed to carry their history and everything they have survived forward with them. This highlights the incredible persistence of identity. Even when you are unwhole, and even when you are unhealed, you irreducibly and undeniably still exist. Resilience produces a more complex, evolved architecture. It turns the memory of a collapse into the foundation of a structure that survived when certainty failed.